Now we are at the Guild, India's top contemporary art gallery, and we are with the director, Renuka Swani, and she is going to help us take us through all these works. We also have Prayas ABHINAV, one of the artists, and he's going to take us through his work himself. So, yeah, Prayas, can you take us through your work?
Yes. So, this is a 3-part installation. It's called Reluctance. These works, this work is, it's basically the story of this bird who wants to meditate on the calm and still that's around her, and wants to ignore things which come and go and which are basically transitory. So what we are seeing on the screen is from the eyes of the bird. So these are the eyes, and you can see this. So it's a disembodied experience of this bird. You have the flight, you have the vision, but you don't have the bird. The bird is not here. So that's what, this reluctance with making peace with the world that keeps changing, but our sense of sanity wants to keep things the same, to have a continuity. But that's the kind of thing.
Very interesting work, Prayas. So what's coming up for you next?
I've been actually working on spatial installations with, I work with technology. I teach at the Srishti School of Art and Design in Bangalore. So we work with art and technology together in the same frame. So I'm working more with spatializing these kind of ideas and projects more, and I'm a poet, so I'm trying to connect it to poetic ideas and things like that.
Very interesting work. Thank you so much, Reyes. So, and now we have Renuka here, and she's going to take us through the rest of the works.
Shall we go this way?
Sure.
This is the work of SUMEDH Rajendran, who is also showing as one of the finalists at the Skoda Prize. He's showing a much larger installation there, but SUMEDH's work has always dealt with the anxiety of the human when it meets with machine or man-made structures, and how that confluence sort of translates into an everyday existence. Yeah? This here is the work of Vidya, a very accomplished artist. She deals with with very feminist issues, mainly in photography. And these in particular are called wish bubbles, which also are this exposition of a wish that is sort of a sense of equality. This is the work of SANTHOSH. He's one of India's most accomplished artists, been practicing for 20 plus years. He usually works in the medium of sculpture. He was trained as a sculptor, so he's done a lot of sculptural work, some of which we've shown in New York and we've shown at the Armory show in New York, as well as it's in major collections in Europe as well as in the US. And he's slated to do a museum show at the Tel Aviv Museum next year. He also does, as you can see, watercolors on large frame paper, but his concerns as an artist are between what media tells us is terrorism, for example, what we see as reality, and how those two mix together, and how, to a large extent, who says what counts more than what exactly is being said. So even though they're politically charged work, he has a very philosophical attitude towards the presentation of images, because almost all art is about the images and the context in which you put it in. This is the first time he's done such large-scale watercolors instead of canvases. He usually does large canvases. So this is, a different process for him, in that he takes, his usual process is any imagery he takes from the public eye, which is given by the media, which is text taken from the media, that kind of thing. This, he has changed his process a little bit, because he's placed something in a certain context by asking models to pose for him, by asking people to pose for him. So this is not images drawn from the media, not second-hand images or third-hand images. These are first-hand images.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
And what do we have there? The installation over here.
This is RIYAS KOMU, who is the co-curator of the Kochi Biennial. RIYAS has been doing wooden sculptures for a very long time, and all his concerns deal with migration. and of immigrant attitudes and immigrant society in a sense. These in particular are salt and pepper shakers, and salt and pepper being so in our minds at least, so far apart from each other, it's like black and white, but then he's put microphones on top, so there is a sense of, even though as immigrants or as migrants or as people from who are displaced, we may be far apart in terms of ideology, in terms of our culture, in terms of how we live our lives, there still has to be a channel open for communication. This is the work of KAIWAN MEHTA. KAIWAN MEHTA lives and works in Bombay. He's a cultural theorist. He's also an architectural student, and he's done a couple of residencies in architecture. He persists architecture as a textual format. So he translates some of what you see in architecture, the forms, the structures, the theories in architecture, and very close to Rem Koolhaas's theories. He translates some of that into text, so a lot of his work is text-based, but yet talks about architecture. KAIWAN MEHTA is also the author of Alice in Bhubaneswar, which came out last year, so if you get a chance to go and pick that up, do that. But also come and pick up, this particular work as well. This is the work of CHARWEI. She's a Taiwanese artist, also shown very widely. She's also a writer and a poet. So what she's done is on the stems of these bamboo trees, if you look at them close, there's poetry inscribed in Chinese letters. So it's a very poetic, very evocative series, yes, and very delicate. And this is all done in ink and gouache and watercolor. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. That of course is the work of G.R. IRANNA, who's showing in a number of other places. Again, IRANNA deals with the politics and the social dynamics of migration, and specifically in the context of India, whereas in contrast, RIYAS talks about it globally, IRANNA talks about it in a more local sense, combined with this idea of national identity that is difficult to pin down, especially in India, but also in sort of a traditional version of national identity, which is your Gandhi slippers also, is sort of being slightly eroded and evolving in such a way that in some cases, in some respects, we risk leaving a lot of traditions behind without too much thought on it. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Renuka.
You're most welcome.